or time demands your and my death, the time and what must be done. Ecclesiastes, the great preacher, said that there is a season and a time for every purpose under the heavens. There's a time to be born. There's a time to die. There's a time to love. And there's a time to hate. There's a time to heal. And there's a time to kill. There's a time for war. And there's a time for peace. There's a time to sow, and there's a time to reap. There's a time to gather stones, and there's a time to cast stones away. But the time in which we live is so critical and so crucial that both times have come together at the same time. Listen. Oh, yeah. Yes, sir. The scriptures of the Bible call this day in which we have entered the great and the dreadful day of the Lord. If it is both great and dreadful, then it has two opposing characteristics. It is great on one hand, dreadful on another. Then the day is a day of contradictions. It is a day of opposites clashing. It is a day when God makes himself known, felt in the world. It is a day of two dispositions. So the word and the teachings of that time must do two things at the same time. It must heal and kill. It must inspire love and hate. It must inspire peace, but it must ready and prepare the people of peace to go to war with a wicked world. It is a time when things are planted and plucked up. Yes, sir. Yes. It is a time when stones are gathered and stones are cast away, all at the same time. So the master of this time, since time always produces a man for that hour, since time is not operating in a vacuum, and men don't operate in a vacuum, men operate according to time, so every hour brings with it a peculiar man, not a peculiar spirit that is just a spirit, but a peculiar spirit coming from a peculiar man. All praise is due to Allah. All right. Since the hour in which we live is so strange and so peculiar, then the man of this hour must be as magnificent as the hour. He must have the ability to hate, to heal and kill, to plant and to pluck up. He must have... Time will tell you what kind of man and work is needed to be done, and what kind of man is needed to work the work that needs to be done. What time is it? Very briefly, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says that we are at the time of the end of the white man's power of rule and authority over the darker people of the earth, and specifically over you and me. Well, is that true? Well, if it's time for a certain thing to take place, you begin to see a sign of it.
Yes, sir.
When a young man or young woman is coming to puberty, that's time saying, uh-oh, something new is happening. Then you should see a sign of it. Uh-oh, I got a little hair under my arm. Uh-oh, some sign saying change is going on. Now it demands a different kind of action and approach.
Yes, sir.
By the person watching the time.
Yes, sir.
Well, if it's time for the rise of black people, then you're going to see signs in black people that it's time. What signs do we see in our people to let you know that white folk can't rule us no more? What do you see? You see rebellion. Exactly right. You don't want to go to school and listen to this foolishness no more.
That's right.
You go to school, sit down and hear the teacher, and the teacher don't make no sense to you. Made sense to your mother, made sense to grandma, but make very little sense to you, because something is bubbling in you. You need something different, but you're not getting it in school. So you pay more attention to the rap than you do to the rap of the teacher. Because as far as you're concerned, the teacher ain't rapping at all. Out of step, out of time. Am I making sense?
Yes,
rebellion is taking place, letting you know that the institutions that held power over the minds of the people are weakening in their ability to hold the people. That's telling you it's time now for a change.
Yes,
when it is time for a change, time produces the man who will bring the change about.
Yes, sir.
Now, let us get on with our work for today. The time and what must be done. It's not the time and what could be done, what should be done, what might be done. The time and what must be done, because time gives us an imperative. Time gives us a command. Time gives us a duty. Time gives us an obligation. And if our actions are not proper according to the dictates of time, then we whose actions are improper have a period of grace to get our actions in line with the demand of the time. Otherwise, we shall continue to suffer loss, disgrace, ruin, and ultimately death. Time. We're living at a very serious hour. Mission. In the word mission, it comes from the Latin root mittere, which means to send. To send. When one is on a mission, one has been sent to do a specific thing of great importance. And certainly in warfare, the generals plan the battle, and they have certain groups that carry out certain mission. And the success of this mission could mean the success of the overall battle or war. Sometimes the whole effort of war depends on the success of one or two strategic missions. Whenever a person has a mission which is a duty or a function, the person or persons have to be carefully chosen, that they will give themselves totally to the mission and will not weaken under the stress and the strain that attends a mission, particularly a mission of great importance. So in the scriptures, the Bible talks about God searching the hearts of the people and choosing the right person to send on a specific mission of great importance. Every prophet is a man raised and a man sent. And when the prophet is sent, he is sent with a mission. And that mission is the sum total reason or purpose of the man's existence in the world. In fact, those who are chosen for that kind of mission, they were chosen before they were conscious that there ever was such a thing as a mission. Do you follow what I'm saying? The scriptures of the Bible puts it like this: before you were formed in the womb of your mother, I chose you. I, in words, called you before you were formed to be a prophet unto the nations. That's powerful, brothers and sisters. This means that those who are truly sent cannot escape what they are born into the world to do. And the sad thing about the life of one who is sent is that that person does not know until a certain time in his or her development that they were born to do this or that. So they may marry, and they may find when they get the mission that their wife was not up to a man of that kind of importance. Lot had a wife like that.
Yes, sir.
She just wasn't up to it. You know what I mean? She married the man. She didn't know he was a prophet. She thought she had married a man. She was going to settle down and sit by the fireplace and, you know, have a nice regular life, until God got in the picture and sent the angels to the man to tell the man, that ain't what you here for. You here for this. Now go and warn the people of Sodom and Gomorrah. Once the man who is born for the mission meets the mission, it is love at first sight. And the marriage takes place, and the man and the mission become one. So the only reason for the man's existence, the only thing that makes his life meaningful or with purpose, is that he at last has found what God has desired for him to do. So now everything that is around that person is measured by their commitment to that which he is born into the world to do. So the Quran says, Muhammad is not the father of any of your men. He is the messenger of Allah and the seal of the prophets. It didn't mean that he did not have children. Do you follow what I'm saying? The value of a mission and a man in a mission is that you must relate to the mission in order to relate to the man. You read about Jonah in the Bible.
Yes, sir.
That Jonah was trying to run from what God had for him to do, just hanging out, partying. God said, Jonah, I love you, but you sure messing up. Jonah's running.
Yes, sir.
Jonah jumps on a ship. God said, He sends a storm. Everybody on the ship praying. God don't hear nobody. Jonah's in the bottom of the ship sleep. They wake him up, say, man, a storm, pray. He said, oh, it's nothing but God. He's after me. He's after me, boy. He don't even let me rest at night. I'm trying to sleep, and he rocking my boat. And rocking the boat only means that wherever you go, when you try to run from your mission, see, God will rock your boat.
Yes, sir. That's right.
You'll be asleep thinking everything is all right. He'll send a storm and rock your boat. Don't nobody know why your boat is being rocked, but when they wake you up, you know exactly why you're in trouble. You're in trouble because you're running from something God wants you to do.
Yes.
And until you make up your mind, God, I surrender. I'm through fighting you. I'm through running. I submit to the Lord of the worlds. From that point on,
yes, sir.
Yes, there'll be trials. Yes, there'll be tribulations. But now you have come home to your mission. And the mission and the man become one. The mission and the woman become one, inseparable.
Yes, sir.
And maybe you got a mate that ain't right. Maybe the mate don't want you in no mission. Well, you try like Lot, you know, baby, we can make it. I better take a drink of water on that one. But sometimes it doesn't work. So we have to be separated from these weights that drag you down.
Yes, sir.
And then you need to find a mate that will not only marry you, but marry the mission.
Yes, sir.
That God has birthed you into the world to do. Now, coming to that point in our little short talk, I come now to the words of Jesus when he says to his disciples, take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly of heart, and ye shall find rest unto your souls. And then he says, take my yoke upon you, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Why is your yoke easy, Jesus? Because I was born to do what I'm doing. And therefore, it's not a burden to me. It fits me well. When one is born to sing, they sing effortlessly.
Yes, sir.
It does not mean that they don't have to practice. It does not mean that they won't fail sometimes in their effort. But what it does mean is that what you're born to do is not a burden. It's easy. and the burden is light, because you're born to do exactly what you're doing. And when you're born to do it, you love to do it. And when you're born to do it and you love to do it, you draw life from doing what you're born to do, and you give life by doing what you're born to do.
Yes, sir.
You don't know what was wrong with you. In a family, God don't pluck the whole family. He may pluck one person out of a whole family. And when he plucks you, the rest of the family say, oh, the nigga done went crazy. And they turn their back on you, but you don't care. That's when you know you're born for something. When you can walk out and don't care what people say, don't care what they do. You found what you've been looking for, and I'm dead on course now. That don't mean there's not ups and downs. That doesn't mean there's not disappointments. But what it does mean, you have found what you were born for.
Yes, sir.
And if you turn your back on what you're born for, then God begin to whip you until you get your act together, because he's not going to let you go until you do what you're born to do. But look, you and I have been told that we should be individuals. This is the American way. You're an individual. You be smart. You're an intelligent sister. Don't pay attention to that dummy over there. Let her get hers by herself. This is the way we've been taught. Don't look out for others. Look out for yourself. That's all right when you're a child. But you can't justify that kind of behavior when you're grown up. That's all right when you are immature. But after you grow up and you still want to be selfish, vain, and arrogant, then you are becoming an opposer of the divine order of God. Listen carefully. And we adorned the lower heaven with stars. And we did this and we did that. Who is this we? God doing all right creating the heavens and the earth. When it comes to man, he said, let us make man. So there is now a group of like-minded persons accepting a duty and a mission directed by a supreme director, and those persons are saying, and we adorned the lower heaven with stars. God is talking with his agents of work.
Yes, sir.
In his company, and we did this. And had we wished to take a pastime from before ourselves, we would have done it. Nay, we cast truth at falsehood till we knock out its brains. We who? Who is the we? As in the beginning, Allah created himself, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us, out of total triple darkness, and created us out of that darkness. And then he said, we. He said the powers of the heavens and the earth are from us, the original people. Now, as it was in the beginning, so it is now in this time of universal change. There has to be one raised and one sent.
Yes, sir.
And that one must now raise a people that will accept the mission and say, and we did such and so, and we will do such and so. So, I mean, this is not for everybody. This is just for the few who are called and chosen and born to do this work.
Yes, sir.
Now, what is the work? What is the work? look, if it's time for the white man to sit down, the white man is not going to sit down until the next ruler stands up.
All right. Come on, talk to us.
You don't expect the white man to just say, well, yes, my time is up. I'm leaving. Thank you very much. Adios. No. The white man is not going no place until his replacement is in place to challenge him for the place.
Come on.
How can you challenge anybody for your rightful place if you are dead to the knowledge of yourself and your place? So somebody has to come to raise you and me from the dead.
Yes, sir.
That's the first work.
Yes, sir.
Raise the black man up. I don't care what you're doing, what your particular work is. That work is not more important than the work that God and the messenger wants to put upon us. Don't you dare put your profession. I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, I'm a teacher, I'm an accountant, I'm a business person, I'm a banker, I'm a lawyer, I'm a this. Wait a minute, I didn't call you to no damn law, no business, no bank. What the hell is that to the work that is in front of us? I want you to listen to me good.
Yes, sir.
All of that is good, but it is secondary.
Yes, sir.
The first work is to raise the dead. I didn't say that. But what I am saying is that you must recognize that your work is not more important than the mission of the resurrection of the dead. What you got is a job that a white man put you on. What the hell is that? But to keep the white man's world up, you got a job. He gives you money to keep you going in his world. God wants to build a new world. Out of you and me, somebody got to take up the mission. And many of us are running. We know the truth, but we're running from the duty. Yeah, well, I mean next week, later, next year, when I get some money, I'll be back to carry on this work. But right now, man, I got to make me some money. You know what I mean? I'll give me some money. Right, we got to all have some money. But Allah promised money, good homes, friendship in all walks of life. But he said you must do the first work, and the first work is the resurrection of our people. Then it says, surely Allah loves those who fight in his way in ranks as if they were a solid wall. Allah, God, does not love disunity. He loves those who fight. Look, don't stop at fight. He didn't say he loved those who fight. He said he loves those who fight in his way. In ranks. Yes. You can even fight in his way, but he didn't say fight in his way as an individual. He said fight in his way in ranks. Yes. Yes. So if you're a good person alone, your good is weak. But if you're a good person united with other good people who are working for a good end and striving toward that end in ranks as though you were a solid wall, yes, an impregnable barrier, a resisting force against evil, then God loves those of us who are like that. Fight in God's name. You will overcome your opposers and your oppressors. But fighting here, taken to the highest level, means struggling, striving with the total and complete power of your being for an objective that God wills. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yes, sir. You are a book, and a wise person can read you. Now, it says, he will forgive you your sins. What do I got to do? What do I have to do to be forgiven? I first must come into ranks. And I must be willing, when I'm in ranks, at the command of the commander-in-chief, to strive hard in Allah's way with my wealth and my life. Now that's difficult. See, you go to church today, and you give $5, $3, even $10. And you say, well, I did my part. If giving money alone would do it, many wealthy people would buy their way into paradise. But Jesus said it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into paradise. Because a rich man will give his money, but he will not strive hard in the way of God with his very life. He's too good for that. All right, I'm almost finished. And yet another blessing that you love. Help from Allah and a victory near at hand. Give good news to the believers. Those who believe and are willing to work to make their belief reality, they are going to get help from God. We can't make it without his help. And we are going to get a victory over the world and give good news to the believers. Yes, sir. Then the last verse, the 14th verse, very significant verse. O you who believe, be helpers in the cause of Allah, as Jesus, son of Mary, said to the disciples, who are my helpers in the cause of Allah. Who? Jesus is talking to a mass of people. He knows that everyone there is not his helper. But he raises the question, who among you will help me bring God's kingdom to the earth? Who are my helpers in the cause of Allah? Who answered Jesus? It said, the disciples said, we are helpers in the cause of Allah. So a party of the children of Israel believed, and another party disbelieved. Then we aided those who believed against their enemy, and they became predominant. Who are my helpers in the cause of Allah? This first part of our lecture, for those of you who are riding on the highway or listening on the radio, I ask you today to consider ranging yourself in ranks. I ask you today, wherever you are, if you're a Christian or believer in God, let us range ourselves in ranks under the divine commander, whom you refer to as Jesus Christ, the Messiah, and let us carry out the orders that we are given today to bring in a better world for ourselves and our children. That we are missing is a very critical and necessary aspect of life, and that is brotherhood, sisterhood, the feeling of family beyond your personal family. We need that. One of the things that the enemy desired to produce in us was this sense of being alone. That it's only you fending for yourself and nobody else cares in this world but you, and since you may not know how to contact God, you don't even believe that he cares. So we're a very lonely people, with people around us, but still very lonely. And the beauty of what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad did through Islam was to create for us a brotherhood where there are caring and loving men and women who we can look to in time of trouble and need. And that in itself is salvation. So if we study the Quran and the Bible, we see that whatever God laid down through the prophets, it was to create a brotherhood. And the laws that he gave through the prophets was to protect family and the brotherhood. And if we follow those laws and carry them into practice, we will always have a strong brotherhood on which to rely. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad was a man that wanted to strengthen the family. I say was not because he's non-existent, but that his presence among us is past. His physical presence. His spiritual presence is quite alive. Why strengthen the family? Why strengthen the institution of marriage? Because if there is no strong family, there can be no strong people or nation. In the holy world, which is in the East, the punishment of death passes upon the adulterer. The punishment of death passes upon the fornicator. You that have a Bible, the law given to Moses, who was not just a lawgiver, but Moses was a nation and civilization builder. And when you're building a civilization, there must be strong law to protect the woman, to protect the family, to protect the institution of marriage. So the punishment that Moses gave for adultery was to stone the guilty party to death. Why stone the adulterer and the adulteress? Because the violation of the word or commitment that one has made to the other in the presence of God is a violation of the upward journey toward God. Follow me.
Yes, sir.
The violation of your own vows made to one another, our vows made to one another, is the violation of our upward journey toward God. I'll explain in a minute. The violation of these vows and the woman opening her legs to a stranger and a man going in to a strange woman, the manifestation of such breaks the family. If it breaks the family, scatters the husband and the wife, it damages and makes insecure the children. And there is a whole consequence of activity that comes when the family is broken apart. So if you want a strong people, if we want a strong nation, then we must produce strong men and women with strong commitment to each other through the institution of marriage. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad wanted us to marry, and he said to us that Almighty God, Allah, hated divorce. Allah says in the Quran that he hates divorce. And even in the Catholic Church today, they don't like divorce. And if you divorce, there was a time when you would be excommunicated from the church. And there is a reason for that. Even though young men and women today get into marriage as though it is a joke. We take marriage as a pastime, a plaything. Our word to each other and our word to God is not serious. We have no real commitment. But these minds got to go to work for self. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said what we've got to do is recognize the value of each other and start pooling our resources. That's number one. You can't pool your resources until you trust one another. You can't trust one another if you doing wrong and the next one doing right. There's no trust in wrong. That's why you've got to accept righteous principle in order for us to have any kind of unity. Look, brother, if I'm going to steal your wallet, you can't trust me. If I'm going to go in your home and violate your daughter, you can't trust me. So you see, right is the basis upon which we can come together and build. And that's why white folks love to keep you doing wrong, because they know as long as you're a wrongdoer, you can never trust one another. Can you see it? You got to accept right, not to walk around with your Holy Quran or your Bible saying, you know who I am? I'm righteous. Oh, come on, man. That's not what it's all about. Being right means doing that which is right, that which is proper, that which is good. That's not being square. That's being intelligent. It is only right today that is going to get us through this dark hour. It is right that we come together, isn't it? And we cannot come together if we're mistreating one another, so it is also right that we put a stop to the mistreatment of one another. We got to stop lying. We got to stop stealing from one another. We got to stop gaming in each other's homes to steal each other's husbands and wives and to mess up our brother's daughter. We got to stop that. I mean, I know it's hard. Yeah, it's made hard. But if you ever saw how they live in the Holy Land, it becomes easy. Because you see, we don't play in the Holy Land. You commit adultery, what do I mean by that? See, adultery is punishable by death. We can't build for our people without our own bank. Bank with an S on the end of it, banks. Banks is nothing more than the confidence of the people in that lending institution. There is a growing confidence in Black America for Louis Farrakhan. We must turn that confidence into institutions that will not let our people down. There are craftsmen, brick masons, plumbers, carpenters, electricians, and you got young brothers who don't have no future. Why not take those buildings, own them, and take the young brothers and sisters and make them apprentices? Go on and fix those buildings up, rent them to your people at lower than the price, and then teach your people how to make their own neighborhood a decent place to live. This is how you get respect. You don't get respect by telling white folks respect me. You get respect by respecting yourself and doing what needs to be done for yourself. Look, can't we own a supermarket here in Indianapolis? I bet you we don't have one supermarket. We got one? We got one? Do we support it? Oh, well, you ain't got none then. Because after a while, that one is going to be out of business. See, when one of our brothers and sisters gets something, we say, man, I ain't going to support that nigga. That nigga will get rich and I see him ride in a Cadillac. No, if he get rich enough, he will hire more people and expand his supermarket and give more jobs to our people. Don't be afraid to make each other rich. But the rich man should be ashamed to get rich off of his people and then do nothing for the community that made him rich. See, once you make him rich, you also make him accountable. You understand that?
Yes, Undertaker, you know ain't no white man bringing no bodies to you. You getting all the stiffs from black people. So why don't you then put some of that money back into the community to set up businesses that will hire some of these young brothers and sisters that don't have no job? We need a patrol here to patrol the streets, to secure our own community. Young brothers and sisters want to fight. Hey, that's good. It's time for fighting. But you just have to, guide them. Say, well, here's what we do. We protect our elderly. When you see the elderly person coming out of the supermarket, you don't go knock them in the head. You let them know that you are like their little son. Help them across the street. Make sure that they're safe. And that way your community starts getting more civilized. You see the brother selling drugs. It ain't his fault. He ain't got no job. He going to do that as long as he don't have no job. You make a job for him, give him an alternative, and then tell him, go sell fish. Go sell this, but you don't sell no drugs in this community. Then you tell him nicely. And if he don't do it, then we spank him. Sometimes he don't wake up from these kind of spankings, you see. But he's putting our community to rest permanently with drugs. We cannot afford that. Don't worry about the mafia. The mafia ain't gonna bother you. Not when you organize, not when you strong. Hell, the mafia will bow to you. Tell them, no, we're not having no more drugs here. You sell that in the town where you live. Because every drug pusher that you send in here, if you don't get his business together, we're going to kill him. Hey, brother, don't you know they get together swift? See what's wrong with us? We allow white folk to make us afraid of them, but we don't make our people afraid in a righteous way. No. The fear of the devil is only uprooted by the fear of God. Do you hear that? Yes, sisters. In the future, we're not going to allow you on the streets at night acting a fool. No, sir. We will stop you and ask your sister, why are you out here? What are you out here for? You don't be in the street all hours of the night. Don't you have a home to go to? Well, you go home. Where do you live? Ain't nobody going to be trying to sleep with her, because we're going to produce a righteous cadre of righteous men and women. We want our women respected and protected. Don't you know these streets are dangerous? Don't you know you got a bunch of sex-mad maniacs out there? What are you doing hanging on the street at night? So after a while, you don't want to move. We just get a little short stick and work that behind that you want to shake till you don't have no more of it to shake. And you'll be back in the house. Oh, yes. Don't think that this is an idle threat. This is serious business. We intend to make a strong people, and we can't make no strong people with a bunch of weak, effeminate, sissified leaders and men and women who don't want to take the appropriate action to correct the condition that we have to suffer from. No, you start attacking your elders, we have to kill you for that. That's the law of God. You do not attack your elders. You do not strike your mother. You do not do that. I don't care what your mother is or what she says. If you can't walk away from her, you don't raise your hand and whoop the woman that brought you on the planet. Why, we'll put something on your behind that you will never raise your hand again. No. No. You don't do that. And we don't like no men that always beating up on their women. We don't like that thing. We don't like that, brother. Your woman ain't that difficult to control if you wake your head up. But a man always got to be beating up his woman, knocking her down with his fist, and then stand up in front of white men and tremble and quake. But at home, you the biggest monster that live, and in front of the enemy, you just a little sissy. No, no, no. We don't want to see the brother beating up his woman like that. Not, we're not going to interfere in your personal and private life, but sometimes you may spank her. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said he didn't like that. He would put us out of the society for touching our wives. I've been married 20 sexuals. Our own black people that have money. Stop putting your money in banks alone. Use your money to create jobs for the young, so that the young don't have to be out here selling dope and stealing. And if you won't use your money for the good of the people who you live among, then you are an enemy to your people. And you may end up losing everything. Now. I don't want to sound like a wild-eyed radical. But brothers and sisters, those that love you will not play with you for the liberation of our people. There is no revolutionary struggle going on anywhere in the world where weak, sissified men and women are getting their freedom. People are getting their freedom because they're willing to pay the price. We're getting freedom all over the world because we realize there are certain things that we cannot compromise with. And we cannot compromise with our young girls being turned into prostitutes. We can't compromise that. Sorry. She's beautiful. Let her remain beautiful. Leave her alone. Don't make a whore out of your women and girls. Don't allow any old strange man to come in and use your woman, deposit his filth, his disease in your black woman just because you want $1. In every revolutionary movement on the earth, all pimps were killed. Yes, in every revolutionary movement, all faggots were killed. In every revolutionary movement on the earth, all lesbians were killed. In every revolutionary movement on the earth, you are a dope user and hung up on dope. If you can't get cured, you'll kill. We'll make your behind into soap. Because if you can't do nothing useful on top of the ground, then let us hurry and put your behind in the ground so you can be some use underground. Understand that? The law of the Holy Quran is a strong law, and it makes strong men and strong women. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad was a very merciful teacher. He knew that we were weak by living under white rule all these years. We are weak to live right, weak to be strong. So he said, let me teach you. And when you make a mistake, I will punish you by giving you a little time away from the society. That's mercy. Now, brothers and sisters, the government saw that there was too much discipline among the Muslims. And you begin to see that you have common suffering, common destiny, common history, common root in civilization and in your origin in the world, and begin to unite with the Indian, then you will have a greater power to come against your enemies. Because when you unite with somebody that owns 50% of the uranium, 2% of all oil and natural gas, lands with gold in it, and since you have gone to school and gotten the technology that can be used to mine out of Indian lands with care for the earth, the coal and the uranium and whatever else is needed. See, your technology will be different from the white man's because of his greed. He doesn't care about the earth, but because we are natural to the earth, we do care about the earth. Therefore, our science and technology would be used in a much different way than the Caucasian. I'm going to say that again. You have human potential, but you are in fact an animal. If you can rob and lie and cheat and steal and cut and plunder without any conscience, you're an animal. And the Bible calls you a beast, or one that has the mark of the beast, because you think like a beast. It's in your forehead and it's in your hands, in the way you work and in the way you do.
In order to come out of an animal stage, we have to be introduced to a body of knowledge that awakens in us a moral consciousness. You have to train children in their early development just like you train animals, because the first stage of human development is called the animalistic stage of development. And you train animals by things that are good and things that give pain. When they do the thing that you approve of, you give them something nice. And when they do the thing that you disapprove of, you touch them with a little pain, so that they know, oh, don't go there. Don't go there. God says in the Bible, spare the rod, spoil the child. It has two meanings, maybe more. But the two I see is that every home has got to function under a rod, a rule, a law, a discipline. Where there is no rod in a home, there is nothing to guide the development of the children in that home. The other rod is that which inflicts pain. I didn't say abuse. I said pain. Well, hell, you try talking to an animal, see if that animal understands. Children in the animalistic stage of development do not understand words. Words don't mean, pain and pleasure mean. When you got both those rods and you use them with wisdom, your children grow up according to the discipline of your teaching. And after a while, you can remove both rods. But the rod is now established in the child. And the child will only go so far in deviation and then pull back, because you establish the rod well in the heart, in the mind of your child. We come into the world like animals, and we grow out of an animalistic stage to a moral stage, then on to a spiritual stage, if we are successful in coming out of the animal stage.
It's a harsh punishment. If you do this, you get stoned to death. If you commit this act, you will be stoned to death. When you are taking a savage people and you're lifting them up into the light of civilization, you must use fear out of love to discipline the savage, to make the savage understand that certain acts that we do are not acceptable in the sight of God, and they cannot produce brotherhood. They produce the exact opposite. So Moses trained Israel up through that law. Us, this is my humble opinion, when you have a people coming up out of colonialism, you cannot give the people more power than the people are ready to assume. If you do, you create chaos. I'm not being paternalistic. Listen to me carefully. A mother that brings a baby in the world does not give the baby power. The baby evolves into power. Did you hear me? Yes. What you give your baby is the breast, to feed it, to nurture it. And if you nurture it properly, it grows into power. And it grows to power to such a degree where it outgrows dictatorship. Are you listening? Yes, sir. It outgrows dictatorship. Dictatorship gives way to a form of government that demonstrates the rational or the growth of rational understanding among the people. When the people's self-interest is enlightened, they will vote for that which is best for themselves. Then the people can govern, for they have the rational understanding to govern themselves. Listen to me carefully, beloved. Power to the people is a slogan. We cannot run a government on a slogan. Certainly we want power to the people, but how do you give power to the people? How do you make the people's power felt? Please follow me. God, this is important. First, if the nature of God in the people is asleep, then the power of the people to make right decisions for themselves is dead. And you cannot leave government in the hands of a people who are mentally, morally, spiritually, socially, and politically dead, because the power of the nature of God in them sleeps. Somebody whom God selects as a mother for you. You didn't hear me. As a mother for you. That's why any man that has sense will honor and respect womanhood. Because without a mother, no nation can grow to self-government, to true democracy.
Strong law to Israel. Because that's the way you make a strong nation. You don't make a strong nation with weak laws. Strong law produce strong nation. And the stronger the laws are that protect the institution of marriage and family and the sacredness of a woman, you got a great nation. You got a great civilization. But when a man can just walk up and snatch a woman, pull her down in some dark hallway and rape her, and he just goes to prison for a few days and he's out doing it again, you don't understand the value of a woman. No. See, God's laws say, no, you rape a woman, you die. I like that law. Why do you kill a person when they rape a woman? Oh, I know you all got so soft now. We don't like no kind of capital punishment. Oh no, you shouldn't kill. Liars. How the hell did we get in this condition? I think capital punishment would be a gross mistake when society has failed the people. But when you have correct institutions and correct teaching, when you violate certain laws, you have to pay the consequence. And if the consequence is death, then so be it. And you can't be too weak to do that if you want a strong nation.
Would you agree? We have to teach our people first. But when you have brothers and sisters who are willing to sell drugs to our people, they're killing our people. So you're putting a penalty of death on the people. So the penalty for you is what? That's right. And there'll come a time very shortly where we will take that penalty upon all those who visit death on our people. We will kill them and make them public examples for the rest. to make you know, look, we don't care nothing about what other folks think. Our people are tired of seeing their little teenagers going to their graves because of a dope pusher. So we don't have to kill but a few, and the others will certainly get the message. Now that may sound very harsh, but it isn't. Our elderly that walk the street being set upon by our young, but we can't allow that to continue. You agree? Our elderly have paid a price, young brothers, sisters, for us to be who we are, what we are, and where we are. We are to be their protectors in their old age, not those who prey upon them. And if any in the law of the Bible, in the Torah, when a young child rose up against a parent and smacked the parent, the penalty is death.
And that is this thing on integration. You know, white people recognize that we're coming back up again. The messenger's teaching is here, coming up among us again. And their greatest desire is to make you think that your enemy is now your friend. And through the misuse of the print media and the electronic media, you know, Johnson Publications, to me, is a symbol of the sickness of black intellectuals. They're always trying to promote black and white, black and white, black and white. And anything that stands for black independence, they're afraid to touch it. They're scared of it. This is going to be short-lived, because there are white people today who are also waking up, and they hate to see their white woman with a black man. And they are beginning to kill black men and their own white women for doing this. And I love it. I love it. In fact, I was in North Carolina recently, and the Klan, some of them were in the audience. And I told the whites there was a time when they were very much respected because they used to protect their woman. I said, but don't you know any time that your slave can walk down the street with your woman on his arm, you are nothing as a white man. Oh, I fired them up. Now look. And I told him, I said, I'm not against you fighting to keep your race white. Muhammad loved that in you. He loved to see you fighting to keep your race white. He respected that in you when you were like that once upon a time. So if you kill a black man that you see going on with your woman, we don't mind that. I sure did tell him. I said, but just remember that what's good for the goose is good for the gander. We hate to see a white man with a black woman, and we're going to kill you over our woman. And let me tell you, and when I got ready to leave that auditorium, a cracker, God, he jumped to attention and saluted me. That's the truth. White folks don't love to see their white women with you. And they're going to kill you over this. This the messenger told us they would do. And we're going to do the same, kill them for playing around with you. And we're going to put a nice hickey on your head. Not on your neck, but on your head. We catch you sweethearting with our enemies. You shouldn't do that. That man hates your uncle, hates your father, hates your brother. Why should you go lay in the bed with a man that have never shown no love for those that is the very seed that produce your life? Stay out of the bed with white men, and we'll stay out of the bed with the white woman. Right? All right.
That's why in the Holy Land, we don't punish rape with prison. We punish rape with death.
out of here. We don't build no prisons and make righteous people pay taxes to upkeep lawbreakers. Hell no. Somebody rape you, you can come and watch. That's what begins healing a woman. She got to see the rapist done in. Then she can begin to heal. Bring him out. Don't put him in no damn jail for 8 or 10 years and let him come out and rape again. Kill the bastard so he'll never do it again. And we don't care what the law say. You do that to any of our women, we'll carry that law out. In Islam, the killing is exemplary. We put you in the public. That's the closest you get in Islam to a pork chop. They bring you out, find you, kneel you down, get a man, usually a black man, powerful arms, with a scimitar, sharp, brother, poke you in the side, you raise up, chop, poke, chop. That's it. And let me tell you, sisters, if you could see a rapist done in like that, then you could see justice in the society. But to go to court and have a defense lawyer take you over the coals and make it look as though you were inviting it. Come here, sweetheart.